etc., etc. So, where are we now? Mashiach ben Yosef or Mashiach ben David? Interesting. So Mashiach ben Yosef, the Mashiach, the Messiah, the son of Joseph, is from the Yosef Tzaddik, belonging to the Ephraim, and that's quite a given. He's called Mashiach Milchama. He's going to fight the wars. He's paraphrase what he says there. He's supposed to forge in fire all those that are sinners, and he's supposed to clean with a borit, with soap, all those that have sins. As it says, which means he forges by fire, he cleanses with soap everybody. Does that exist? It does not exist yet. Then Mashiach ben Yosef has to die before the war of Gog and Magog. Okay? The big war before the great redemption. A new descendant is going to come, and he is going to be killed. Who is that? Not Mashiach ben David yet. Hold it. The Messiah, the son of Joseph. As it says, people mention Rishonim, Achronim, as it says in the Zohar, portion of Shlach Lecha, page 166a, in the prophecy of Zechariah, and how important on the house of David and the people that dwell in Jerusalem, and spirit and tachanunim, I don't know how to translate that, and please observe and have eulogies, etc., etc. And you can look at Zechariah for those who want to look at the translation. Don't have it in front of me. You can read it in Hebrew. It's not going to help the crowd. Zechariah 12, verses 10 to 12. After that, okay, so I don't know where the Lubavitch Rebbe is coming into all this, but let's see what the story is later. After Messiah ben Joseph comes Messiah ben David. And Rabbi Saadia Gaon, people said, all the Rishonim, all the Achronim, the Gemara, come on. Rabbi Saadia Gaon says that it all depends on the spiritual nation at that time. He has to prepare them. If the people are not going to do tshuva, then it's a big problem. Now again, here I come to my third point. What is teshuva? People are focused on certain mitzvot. Tefillin is important, extremely important. But the Khatam Sofer in chapter 3 in the tractate of Sukkah says, Dibur Amat Chilatroga Kushi, which I'm not going to explain what it is now. He says, tefillin is important. What about dwelling in the land of Israel? What about toiling in the land of Israel? What is more important, living in the land of Israel or putting on tefillin? Big question. Big question. He claims it's the same. So, if people actually keep people in the diaspora and opening communities and putting on tefillin on them, or calling them to make aliyah and be in the land of Israel, what's more important? Question of the audience. Moving on. Let's say everything is dandy, everybody puts on tefillin, everybody lives in the land of Israel, everybody keeps 613 commandments. Then the Arizal says that people have to pray that Messiah should come. That's according to Shara Kavanot, the gate of intentions or Kavanot, Drush Amida Drush Vav, etc., etc. And he says people should pray that the Messiah should come, and only then Mashiach ben David should come. Now, people don't want to quote the Rambam. I can quote the Rambam too. Okay, and the Rambam says as follows. Rambam says as follows. If a king comes out of David, after, by the way, we go through the process of the Messiah of Joseph, just like I quoted. David Aviv, just like David's father. And he has the oral Torah and written Torah. And he actually forces all Israel to go and fight the wars of God. Now, wars of God can be spiritual, wars of God can be physical. How do you know which is what? No idea. He is Becheskat Shu Mashiach. The Rambam says Becheskat Shu Mashiach. He has potential to be Mashiach. There's no certainty. If he succeeds and he builds the temple in his place, and here's the big catch. Kibetz Nitcha Yisrael. He gathers all the people from the diaspora and he brings them to Israel. Only then is he a certain Mashiach, and he actually can do Tikkun Olam, etc., etc., the Rambam says. So I'm asking a simple question, with this I'll land my plane. If people want to become a Mashiach, whoever it is, let's say me, you, anybody on the space, the first thing you need to do in order to cement your ways as Mashiach is what? According to Maimonides, according to the Yerushalmi, according to the Zohar, is first close down all the 5,000 Chabad houses and tell them to come to Israel. Period. End of story. That's how you become Messiah. If you cement Golus, if you cement diaspora, you're in big trouble. That's for sure not Messiah. End of story. Does not exist. Because you're missing 3 out of 3 criterias. And I quoted you everything. If you want to question me about that, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Ori. Thank you. If anyone has questions, please go ahead.
I have some, I wanted to elaborate about the rabbi who was here on stage said that Chabad doesn't says Chassidus comes before other studies. I study with Chabad since 5 or 6 years on a daily basis. I mean, Tanya, the weekly Mama, the Nikutes Sichos. I mean, also Chumash obviously. Then we have the Rambam class, the 3 chapters of Rambam. I am bad in Rambam. I often skip it because, I'm not a good person. So the claim was that the Rebbe said Chassidus comes before other studies, and the rabbi on stage said, no, that's not true. That's for sure true. I heard it saying a dozen of Chabad rabbis. There's the incident. There was a praying of the Rebbe. The Rebbe was speaking, holding a shiva in Yiddish. The video is online. I could look it up, okay? But I found it in the Yaffe diaries. Rabbi Salman Yaffe Weitz, he wrote diaries, everything what the Rebbe did. A Bochur who filmed the Rebbe complete. There was a situation. He was then filming the whole day. Okay, this praying, and everyone was studying. And then the Rebbe stopped the shiva and asked him, "Did you study today? Because you're the whole time here." And he said, "No, I didn't study. He has almost no time to learn for his work, and in general today also not. There's in general no time to learn." The Rebbe answered him that if he has absolutely no time except for a few minutes, then he must learn at least a daily page of Tanya. Okay? That's mainstream Chabad. That's an often quoted part. I mean, that's not a secret. When you don't have time, then Tanya comes first. Okay? I know nothing about, I studied a little bit Rambam, but I was secular. I came to Chabad, and it was always Tanya first, then Chumash, then Rambam. Okay? That's the way that's the way. Okay? A lightning bolt should hit me when I lie in this moment, but I don't lie. I even quoted him. Okay? If you have absolutely no time. That Tanya comes before everything, before the Torah studies. Okay, that's everything, and I know it because I study since years with them. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for telling us that, Michael.
Okay, Disa, I see your hand is up. If you're still here, please go on.
I'm here. I think that when Chabad, I'm not Chabad. I think what they would say to that is that they consider Tanya Torah. In other words, learning Tanya is learning Torah. The Chabad, what Michael just said, is that that's the first thing you should be learning if you only have a limited amount of time. They wouldn't say it's Torah or Tanya. Tanya's part of Torah. That's what you learn first. And a lot of people, including me, question whether that makes sense. Or if that's correct, maybe that's a better way to put it. But to be fair to the Chabadniks, they wouldn't say it's Tanya or Torah.
Can I ask a stupid question? It's a quick one. Is Tanya Torah, or is there a difference? Because I don't know anything about Tanya. And
Tanya is based on the Zohar, which is the deepest Kabbalistic elements of Torah, which those of us who were raised in a more Litvish environment, especially as women, we were taught, you have to be a man and you have to be over 40 before you can start learning Kabbalah. So I was never exposed to Tanya until fairly recently. But Tanya was written by the first Lubavitcher Rebbe based on Kabbalistic Zohar teachings. I don't know what the world considers it, the rest of the yeshiva world.
No, my question was kind of like, it feels like to me that Torah is like the more carries more weight than Tanya, but I don't know.
No, Torah. Torah. Everything comes from the Torah. I know, like when I was learning, when I was in high school and learning from Litvak, teachers, and we would discuss Chabad. The rabbi who was teaching us said he wants to have, his thing is learn it, not about it. Like sit down and learn the Chumash, learn what Rashi says, learn the Mishnah, learn the Gemara, learn the Rishonim. Stop talking about it. And that was in regards to the way Chabad was. This was back in the 70s. Like the feeling was they talked too much about everything and not about not just sitting and learning it. So this has been a percolating, contentious discussion for a long, long time. It's not new to us, but I don't think he answered my question. I asked it as respectfully as I could. What's the point of those flags? What do you mean it's a campaign flag? Who runs for Mashiach?
Right, and who's running against him is the question. It's a weird answer he gave.
I don't think he answered it. I'm very, very, very respectful of Chabad. It's not that. It's like, I think it's a serious theological question, and it should be handled seriously, not making fun of other people who question it. I find those flags very problematic. I don't understand what's the point.
What were the flags?
I'm sorry, who asked that?
This is John. What were the flags that he had?
There are flags that fly all over the place with the picture of the Rebbe, and it says,
it says King Mashiach.
King Mashiach with a picture of the Rebbe's face.
Got it.
And the point is the Rebbe's dead, which he acknowledged that he's dead physically. That's the way he put it, and that's a campaign. He used the analogy. He actually said it, that it's a campaign slogan thing, and it's like when someone puts a Trump 2024 before the election. So I said, really? I said, no. I said it would be like if you put George Washington's face on it and said 2024. George Washington's dead, so he can't be running in 2024. What is the purpose of those signs?
It's an attention getter. You do realize that it's kind of a joke in a way,
No. They're very serious about it. It's not funny, and it's not a joke. They're very serious about it.
You're not on the inside. It can be viewed as a joke. I mean, it's maybe a bad joke. I'm just saying that it's communication. It's marketing.
No, it's
not. What are they marketing? I mean, this is very important. This is a theologic discussion. It's not funny. And from the inside of Chabad, I will tell you, they take it very seriously. They spend money on those things. They are not funny, and it's not funny. And I want to know, what is the point of them? What is the message that thing has? That's of what's bothering me about them. For all the wonderful, terrific things that they do, I don't take anything away from them. But it's not like we can ignore that question. What does that mean? I don't
Look,
spend
it
a lot of
means-
time on. Yeah, I
It
for
means,
me,
I study with them, it means the most potential candidate for Moshiach is the rebel. That's
but
no...
already dead.
Yeah, look, but...
The sign says King Mashiach. It doesn't
No,
say
the
potential.
rebel, there is the, like the rabbi said, Chabad says somebody who passed physically away can still be Moshiach and build the temple when he comes back. Okay? That's nothing, that's mainstream Chabad. And
Okay,
they
so
say-
then we can put up other pictures and put King Mashiach too. This is getting
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yes,
I'd love to hear
theoretically, you can say
what
this,
he
but
has to say.
they say, it was only my last point, they say the most potential candidate is the rebel, and that's mainstream Chabad. That's not a fringe sect in Chabad, that's mainstream.
I know, and
Right,
Michal
that's not what
prayed
it
for
looks
that.
like. If from where we are, and Rabbi Ori, I think Iska might be away for a second.
No, I'm here. I actually have a question for Rabbi Ori, unless he wants to go ahead, or if Michal, you have a question maybe?
No, I just saw his hand and I wanted to. I like listening to him.
No, me too. Can I ask you a question before you go ahead, Rabbi? Okay, thank you. So I want to know, from your perspective, I know you're not Chabad, but from your perspective, because this is the most problematic to me, how can Chabad justify bringing Chilonim, people with no Torah, Chumash background, okay? How can they justify, what is their excuse to bring Chilonim that don't know anything about anything and put them straight into Tanya? How can they justify this? We all know, we all have our own traditions. My tradition is the Yemenite tradition. Okay, we all understand what comes first before Kabbalah. So I want to understand from your perspective, even though I know it's not your tradition, how they can justify bringing secular people that don't know anything about Torah, nothing about Torah, and dumping them straight into their interpretation, which is an important distinction. It's their interpretation of the Kabbalah. So that's my question, and then you have the floor, of course, after that. So please go ahead.
No, listen, it's a very problematic question because it all started 200 years ago, heightened by about 70 years ago. And like people said here, it's either you're Chabad or yet to be Chabad. And no one has a monopoly over Judaism, and that's what I try to illustrate. I don't have any beef with the rabbi that spoke before because, honestly, it's basically like a mosquito on an elephant, in my opinion. Why is that? Because I understand the emotions, I understand everything, but when you look at the 2,000 years, and you mentioned you're Yemenite, when you look at the 2,000 years of scripture, come on. A person has to learn Chumash, Tanakh, then he has to learn Mishnah in its entirety, then Talmud, Bavli, Yerushalmi. Then he has to learn Rishonim from the time of the Geonim until the 15th century, then the whole Shulchan Aruch, plus the other about, I would say, 90,000 books that we have to 100,000 books that we have in the last 400 years. And you want to learn something? What about the Shlach Kadosh? What about the Tzioni? What about the Arizal? What about the Reb Moshe Kitover? You know, what about Reb Chaim Vital? Okay, the great Kabbalist that ever lives after the Ari. And then you get to Hasidus. Fine, Baal Shem Tov. Learn the Baal Shem Tov. 1780, dispute with the Golden Vilna. Fine. But you know me, as I mentioned before in the space about 3 hours ago was, how many sects in Hasidut we have? And then you get to the Tanya. a nice Chassidut. Shneor Zalman Miladi wrote a very fascinating book called the Tanya. I learned it, studied it, just like I did Reb Nachman Breslov, just like I did other Sfatim, etc. And I enjoyed it. Interesting perspective. And I take it into the pool of Judaism that we have throughout. Now, for someone to take you and say, this is the be-all and end-all, as I said before, big mistake, huge mistake. No one takes a person with a heritage, doesn't matter if he's a Litvak, if he's a Yemenite, especially if he's a Sephardi, Yemenite, people have great traditions from Babylon, from Rav Sadia, go on to Kavachaim, to the Olachaim, to, I can show you many, many scholars, and just go by that. I mean, what's the difference between the Rabbi Lubavitch and the Baba Sali, okay? Or the Machsof Alavan, Kabbalistic books from here to Wazoo. I can quote them from here to end of time. But, as people said here, diaspora is desperate, marketing, flags, money, excellent. So do it. Okay? But there's no difference between the Tanya and the Zohar. Like someone asked you, what's the difference between the Lubavitcher Rebbe and Moshe Rabbeinu and David and Moshe Feinstein or Shlomo Zalman Auerbach? The great tzaddik Chaim Kanievsky, the head of all the Torah world that passed away 2 years ago. Okay, he was the greatest tzaddik. 800 or 700,000 people went after his funeral. Take more than that. Rav Ovadia Yosef. The Rav Ovadia Yosef, the Sephardi individual that ruled over Egypt and in Israel, created a movement, actually controlled armies in Israel. Maybe he's the Melech HaMashiach. He died. Okay? He wrote the most unbelievable 11 books about halakha that even Ashkenazim use today. One of the biggest sages and the biggest rulers of halakha in our generation, in the 20th century, and the 21st. So, Sephardi poskim, Ashkenazi poskim, poskim means rulers of law. I mean, come on, guys. Seriously. This discussion is futile because you can take a small sect called Chabad that has a good marketing and has a good franchise and discuss the Tanya. The Tanya is nice. You read it, you learn it. I took 3-4 things from it. But, in terms of history, in terms of rule of law, in terms of it's minute. It's extremely minute. No one takes it into consideration whatsoever in Jewish law. No one. Now I know there's a problem because people are in diaspora, they're in Kentucky, Detroit, and Montana. Who do they meet? A nice guy with a beard that's visiting you in prison, giving you a little bit of comfort and having community. And says, learn the Tanya before you learn the Chumash. Okay, so why? Because the Rebbe told them go on the mission. Other people want to do that? No. They want to create large communities in Israel or in New York or in California, but mainly in Israel, that are those that carry on the torch. So I think this conversation is coming from a wrong direction because you surround yourself with what you know. And what you know is these guys in different locations that are, gathering small communities around you. But I'm just trying to tell you that the bottom line is, in terms of larger Jewish perspective, it's very, very minute. So people may not believe that, but in terms of history, that's where it's at.
So you're saying it's a pretty good book?
Yeah, it is. It's a very interesting book. It is. But you know what? It's a book on my shelf, and I have 7,000 of those. 7,000 different books. It's one of the books. One of the books. That's all. Period. End of story. Not more, not less.
Well, I've read the Tanya a couple times. I have this, it gives like commentary on it by Rabbi Shapiro. The commentary itself is incredible. There's just, because there's a, I don't know Hebrew. So when you throw all these Hebrew words in and you get these deeper psychological meanings, it can be a very transformative book for one's personal development.
No, you're right. But did you read the Shefa Chaim of Rebbe Mitzans? Did you read the Sfat Emet? Did you read basically the works of the Tzioni? Did you read Shla Kadosh of Yeshayahu Levi Horowitz? Mind-blowing book. No. Why? Because they don't have a marketing. They did not translate it into English. They don't have commentary on that. Gesund hate. I can quote you another 100 books that I have on my shelf that are superb, and that the teachings are like phenomenal. The early commentaries, okay? Did someone read Reb Chaim Vital? Did someone read, Mesilat Yesharim? Like Mesilat Yesharim is a given, okay? Take Mesilat Yesharim. Moshe Chaim Luzzatto. A must in any yeshiva on the face of the globe, okay? Just ask a Chabadnik if they learn it in their yeshiva. Mesilat Yesharim. That's one of the greatest Kabbalists in Venice. Yes or no? They'll start going, Why? Why shouldn't you learn Mesilat Yesharim? Baruch HaTzadikim. Okay, Shara B'tachon. Is it all has to do with Chabad? No. Of course not. But that's all they have. Which is sad to me, because Mesilat Yesharim is a must in every seminary, in every school, in every, yeshiva, which is like a high school, whatever, University of High Studies of Judaism. Why don't you do it? Mesilat Yesharim means the path of the righteous, okay? Which is a book of conduct, book of midot. Conduct is like morality. And why don't people learn that in Chabad? No answer. Zero. Let someone come up and dispute that, okay? I want to see one yeshiva that they learn that in Chabad. It does not exist. But again, each one to his own. They can learn the Rebbe. You can put a note in the Igrot HaKodesh. You can open up and see what the Rebbe wrote that guy in 1956, and by that saying, it says here this and that, therefore I should do this and that. Let them do whatever they want, but please, please, please do not take people from Kentucky and Detroit and whatever and tell them that's the be-all and end-all, because that is not Judaism. And I'll tell you something philosophical. With this, I'll land my plane. God the Almighty, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is infinite in His wisdom. He is not constrained by one string of doctrine. Not by Islam, not by Christianity, not by Judaism, not by sects of Judaism, not by anything. He's the Almighty. Anybody that says that this is my way or the highway is wrong. Because you put a God in the box, you put a Kodesh Baruch Hu in the box, you put the Eibishter in the box. It's wrong philosophically, it's wrong in terms of Judaism, it's wrong on all aspects. So if you practice the Tanya, you get to salvation. Wrong. Does not exist. You need to broaden your mind as much as possible in order to discover God. That's in Maimonides how he starts his Mishnah Torah. Okay? And he says, which means the foundation of all foundation, pillar of all pillars is to know that there's a first creator. How do you know that there's a first creator? By the creator himself, and he carries on and says that you have to, in the Guide to Perplex, go to research. If Maimonides was a Chabadnik, he didn't have to go to the Kalam in Islam and refute them, or to Aristotle, or to Plato. He knew everything. Why did he study everything? Because he wanted to know, he wanted to rebuke, he wanted to refute, he wanted to do X, Y, and Z. You could have said, I have my own doctrine. I'll learn Tanya the whole day and I'll get to God. No. I will learn everything and then I'll make my own decision. So, people, broaden your minds. And again, I don't have a beef with Chabad. I really don't. For me, it's like Hasidus of Gur, Boyan, Vobov, all the other 70 sects. Gesundheit, have a nice day. Now again, I understand that people in Chutzlarts in the diaspora have a problem because that's what they meet in the airport or in Kentucky or in Detroit or Montana or in California or whatever it is. And that's the representative of Judaism, standing and putting on tefillin. Okay, fine. So that's a good marketing, and they're making an effort in reaching out to every Jew. Gesundheit, good job, excellent. But you say, thank you very much for what you're giving me. You taught me for half a year how to learn to read, to write. Now let me broaden my horizons, because Judaism is very vast. It's an ocean. And let me dig deep and dive deep into this ocean of Judaism. That's what I'm saying. Thank you for listening, guys.
Rabbi. Oh yes, that was wonderful. I just wanted to ask any commentary on the Tanya when it discusses pantheism.
You have to quote
Pantheism.
What chapter?
I don't know exactly where it is, but I've heard that it discusses that in detail. If you don't mind.
Yeah, what's the pantheism? Just quote it in Hebrew and English, be more clear, so I can either find it or.
Well, I don't know where it is exactly, but one place he discusses like the rays of the sun and beaming down to home to off, and how we are sort of inside within Hashem, per se. I don't know where it is exactly.
If someone can translate, that'd be great. No, seriously. I mean, I don't understand what was said.
Is there anyone in Michael? Do you understand what he's talking about? You read Tanya.
Michael does understand, because this is something we discussed with Michael. So Michael, maybe, oh, here, he's requesting a mic. Let's bring him up. Everyone give him a second.
Know what he means, the Sephiroth are taken literally. And what he also means is that, how can I say this? We exist in Hashem. Okay, so.
Right, so where he's saying that we're all God?
We are in Hashem and we are part of Hashem, and he means that we throw out, we can, the light of Hashem, we take it down to earth through our mitzvot. That's also when it is, we build the temple through our mitzvot. When he speaks, this part when he spoke about that we take this light from Hashem to earth. That like, we redeem the world, but through studying and doing mitzvot and I don't know the German word.
I thought he said pantheon, but okay.
Yeah, but the pantheon, what commences the Sephiroth are literally. we believe literally in them. Like, yeah.
No, but is that in chapter 32?
I don't know the chapter number, but the Sefirot are literally the Sefirot discuss with each other, and the Sefirot are like a manifestation of Hashem. So it's not like you take them philosophically. They're literally.
But the Tanya refines that, but we don't need the Tanya for that because we have obviously many books from that. We have from 1340. We have Ram Rimon in Sefer Shabbat Penucha. We have the Tzioni. We have Rabbi Shekol Rivero. We have the Arizal. We have Arizal, Chaim Nutzato, Rabbi Zimra. We have like they're all obviously the Zohar. Which is printed in 1346. So we have all this concept we have. I mean, I know the Tanya is refining it to a certain understanding, but I'm really trying to see what people are getting at, and I can respond to that. But if I don't know exactly what people are saying, it's very hard for me.
I never look. I read it often, daily, and there comes no pantheon. In Tanya, angels, the literally Sefirot, the different kinds of angel, like stages of angel, but there is no pantheon. That doesn't exist. I don't know what he means. I read it often, so I would know it. Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's a general concept. I mean, they don't need the Tanya for that. That's a general concept. The Tanya gives a little bit of an edge to, a little bit clarification to the concepts in Kabbalah. I'll give you an example. Obviously, everybody knows about Nefesh Be'emit, Nefesh Ruchanit, which means the spiritual being and the monistic being, etc., which is in contrast, by the way, to Rab Nachman Breslev. So it's a little bit different between the two books, as we say. But
This is
I don't
X
think this is
Spaces.
the space. I mean, I can go into that, but I don't think this is the space to go down the 10 Sefirot from Chokhmah Bina V'dat, which, by the way, is the initials of Chabad, as they took it from Kabbalah, and then going down to the other 7 Sefirot, which means it's the ladder going down from Keter to Malchut, which is interesting, but again, the host will tell me if it's, I mean, we can have an hour, 2 hour space about Kabbalah now, but I don't think maybe it's too tiring for people to go through that whole ordeal.
Hello.
Yeah.
May I interject about the Rebbe conversation with the Rebbe? You know, what I don't understand is how can the Rebbe be a candidate for the Mashiach, when he's dead? You know, you wouldn't vote for Donald Trump if he was no longer available to be elected president.
Who's speaking? I can't see. Can you say your name?
Small.
Hi. Okay.
Hi. So, you know, I understand, you know, saying that the Rebbe is the Messiah and he's going to come back to build the Shor Temple. That's like saying, well, Jesus is going to come back, so why don't you believe in Jesus? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, listen, they rely on they rely on the Sanhedrin, which is ambiguous, like a dead or alive, and they rely on 2 verses, one Daniel and another verse in Isaiah. According to the translation of the Abarbanel, which is also ambiguous, he comes on top of the cloud, etc., etc. But again, that ambiguous type of understanding of the person that's dead physically is going to come in the shape is not even mainstream. It's like 0.000%, 0.1 of commentary into that. And they rely on that to say that a certain individual, again, that does not meet the 3 criteria of Maimonides,
No, it
is
doesn't.
going to come. So, That's the end of it. I mean, thank you very much. Have a nice day. But again, I say, Shmuel, again, I say, the majority, 99% of Judaism today, do not even have a space about it. You know why? Because they couldn't care less. And these are the giants of Torah today. You couldn't hear, you know, when they asked of Shach in the famous speech in the arena, what do you think about Chabad? He said it's the closest cult to Judaism.
It is
the leader of the
It is
Orthodox.
what's called.
No, the closest, the head of the Orthodox community in Israel, Rav Shach. Okay, Menachem Shach, the head of Ponovich. Today heads admired by, you know, millions of people around the world today, and he didn't even bat an eyelash. And he didn't even go to a whole space about it. He says, thank you very much, have a nice day, moving onwards, and that's it. But again, that's Israel. Diaspora is different because you meet them every day, and that's the story. That's what I'm saying.
If I may add, I take more of the Maimonidean approach that the Messianic age is going to be a natural event. The Messiah is going to be a human. He's going to come, make peace. Jews are going to be allowed to live in Israel in peace. But I'm more of like a rationalist, like I'm a follower of Maimonides. So I'm not convinced of.
Obviously, according to Maimonides, it doesn't make the cut. You're right. You're absolutely right. In any way, shape, or form.
Yes, thank you. It's nice speaking with you.
Yeah.
Yes, take care.
So I just posted something in the Purple Pill just for extra information on Rambam and what he says on these things. Yes, there now.
Yiska, but you have to pound on the one point is, and again, according to Maimonides, and I quote again, Maimonides says very, very specifically, and he's not the only one, and that is, and I'll quote, Maimonides says, "V'kabetz nitchei Yisrael," gather the people of Israel. And then he says, Harei ze Mashiach, this is Messiah. So it's contradictory to the whole mission. And I once met, to be honest, I met a Chabadnik, and I said to him, you want to be a Mashiach, you want to fly the flag? No problem. Just do one little thing for me, please. Announce today, that was before the Rebbe died. Okay, I was very young then. I said, tell the Rebbe to tell everybody we're closing up shop, we're telling everybody to come to Israel, and we're gathering the whole diaspora to come to Israel. Then you have at least 1/3 of a case to actually become Messiah. Then you have to return everybody to worship God. Then the third thing, you have to Nilcham Milchamot Israel. Then everybody should join the army and fight. So you have 3 steps in the process according to Maimonides. Okay, and then, only then you'll achieve Mashiach ben Yosef. Who's Mashiach ben David? We don't know. But at least start the process. Bring people to Israel. Don't establish new diasporas. Close them down. Shut them down. Bring everybody. Which is a fundamental point that people don't understand. So, again, we have our beef, we have our this, we have a disagreement, but again, I don't take it too much into heart. That's what I'm trying to say. Because we have scholars from here to Wazoo, and that's what we adhere to, that's what we learn, that's what we study. we in Israel actually do not bother so much with Chabad, to be honest. It's nice to have very cute, eat your steak, have your pizza, get your service, do your drive-through. Very nice, but not really effective, to be honest.
I just have one quick question, and it's kind of maybe I don't want to keep going over this, but is it avodah zarah? Because it seems like to me it is, and I know this is maybe beating a dead horse. I just want to know once and for all because I don't want to. Because I want to know what I'm doing. I need to know what I'm doing. When I'm reading stuff from the Chabad website, I'm feeling now like I shouldn't be reading some things. I don't know if I can trust it.
Listen, some of the things, and I gave on the head to Chabad in a few instances. I said, listen, you can do everything that you want. Be halachic about things, be cordial, open your house, do achnasat orchim, give tzedakah, help people, do what you do best, put on tefillin, etc. The minute you start with crossing the line about who is dead and who is not, and there's certain extreme sects in Chabad that are doing that, and I know of them, have some of them close to my proximity. Then I said, guys, game is over. That's it. Cannot enter the synagogue. We're not going to eat from your shechita. You cannot join a minyan because, bottom line, you are practicing something that's extremely not Judaism. Okay, so people want to be a Chabad apologetic, that's fine. That's also in the realm of, but if a person is very adamant that an individual is alive and is somewhere, and we can actually see him, and we can pray to him, and all the prayers go through him, and etc. That's already overboard. But I don't know many of those that exist, but if they exist, then stay away, my friends, because that's not Judaism. No rabbi will tell you that's according to Judaism. They'll just, turn their back and say, thank you very much, have a nice day, goodbye, and their meat is not going to enter their stores, they're not going to be associated with them, etc. Not only the Orthodox, not only the Lithuanian Jews, but the rest of Jewry is not going to adhere to that or not going to tolerate that. You know why? Because we've been through thick and through thin. We've been through Shabtai Tzvi, we've been through the Frankisim, we've been through many individuals that tried to stir up things and skew the Jewish community and the belief in the monotheistic God. Not going to happen again. So if some odd individual is going to start with that shenanigans, it's over. We're distilled 1,000 times throughout the ages. And we know what we're talking about. So we do not tolerate that. So you have to be aware of that. And it's hard when you read online certain things, but you have to be aware to see different signs and where things are going.
Can I quickly jump in? We have Michael here, and he's certainly not, and he was never a part of the extremist fringe within Chabad. He was very much part of the mainstream Chabad, Rabbi, and he was taught that the Rebbe is not dead, and that he absolutely is the Mashiach, and all of these things that, yes, we can all agree are wrong, but what you're saying is that it exists on the fringe. It's an extremist element. But Michael here, that we can all see, I hope he'll speak to this. He was not part of an extremist fringe. He was in his Zoom lessons with them for years, and they were teaching this as mainstream Chabad doctrine. So Michael, maybe you'd like to speak.
Look, it's always said the rebel is only hidden from our eyes. Historicals, okay, but the rebel is here. And it's also in Tanya, when they base this on, that Tzaddikim doesn't leave us. Tzaddikim is even more powerful when he leaves us for his physical body, and so for his followers are more attached to him and his teachings. That's standard. I mean, that's everything is absolutely standard Chabad, and yeah, we believe. Look, they wouldn't lie. Okay, and it's a standard. I don't say the name, which rabbi. It's a well-known rabbi. He's well connected on Chabad, and he's very respected. And he teaches Tanya since many decades. Okay, and the rabbi is still here. That's what I learned. And the rabbi is the most potential candidate. And it's like that there is no other candidate which comes closer to him. The last judgment will be on heaven. But it's like, it's clear that it's the last judgment comes, it's always, he's the most potential candidate and everything goes to that it's him. But the last judgment is on heaven. That's like, this sentence ends with this. So I'm definitely not an Afrish sect, I'm in mainstream Chabad. So, yeah. And everything
I kind of have a different experience. I'm mainstream Chabad, and I've never.
Yeah, did you study every day, Tanya? Did you study every day, Mama?
Yes. Well,
Every day, could play Sichos with them?
Rambam, Talmud, Chumash, Tanya. There's a Rebbe story you learn. I mean, but the same way we say that that tzaddikim are alive when after they're dead more than when they're around, because you get to study about their teachings.
Don't we say that the most potential candidate for it will be the Rebbe? Is the Rebbe?
No.
We say that.
No. And there's no shliach that says that the Rebbe is Mashiach. There are fringe, weirdo Chabad people, but they're not shluchim, and they're not rabbis leading congregations, that's for sure.
He has a Chabad house, it's a big Chabad house. It's a shluchim, his children are shluchim. Okay, there's a lot of children who are shluchim. A lightning bolt should hit me when I lie, okay?
In the 80s, some kind of in the Chabad world. You know that what you just said is false, that there are no shluchim because it is beyond obvious if you have been close in the Chabad world. And it is true, you can babysit their kids, and a 3-year-old will tell you when you're putting them to bed at night that they want to go and meet Rebbe HaMashiach, another HaMashiach. And when you're pushing them on the swings at the playground, I want to go higher and I want to see Rebbe HaMashiach. And it doesn't take much. I was at a college campus, and all of the other kids there who had babysit the rabbis' wives said the same stories. They saw the same thing in the kids. The real truth comes out when you speak to the kids. You find out that, so that's what they teach their kids at home. And I'm not saying that to criticize them, but to say that they don't believe it is just absurd.
That even is against what the Rebbe himself said. They tried to validate this. He said no.
That may be true. That may be true. But to say that it doesn't exist among the shluchim is
okay. Well, maybe you found some kids that are saying that for some reason, but the Rebbe himself said
it's like a bad meditation, but
a 3-year-old who lives in the middle of nowhere, whose only real exposure to Judaism is their parents. They're not going to a cheder. They're not, and if they are, they're going to some
I'm sorry, you can't slander Chabad. You can't slander Chabad. Well, the space is definitely slandering Chabad.
I'm telling you my personal experience.
I'm not talking to you, Chaim. I'm talking about the space.
Where did I slander Chabad?
I'm not talking specifically to you, Michael. This space title is slandering Chabad, and I've been hearing it for like literally 2 hours. People think it's slandering Chabad.
Chabad's flag slanders Mashiach.
So what I saw when I came in, unfortunately, was a man who had rabbi in his name, who had no midot that I have seen a rabbi display. That was shocking. And then I heard Rabbi Ori speak, displaying midot and coming up with sources, and the person who had claimed to be a rabbi immediately left and did not respond to any of Rabbi Ori's sources. That's what I have seen so far in the space. I have not seen people slandering Chabad. I have seen a Chabad rabbi, and I'm going to put that in quotes because I've met many Chabad rabbis and I've never seen that type of midot, so I'm not quite sure where
He's a well-known
I just
rabbi.
want to say something. Wait, Rabbi Litvin DM'd me that he was kicked out of the space, so I don't know if that was a glitch, an accident, but
No, I'm sorry, that's not true.
I'm just telling you that
Objectively untrue.
Yes,
Yes,
but
but
it was
it
the only
doesn't. No, hold on.
at the time.
No, hold on. First of all, if that was Chaim who was talking about the behavior of the Chabad rabbi, thank you for saying that. You make an excellent point. Second of all, Disa, nobody was co-host at the time. I promise you, he was not kicked. In fact, I was disappointed when he left because I was looking forward to Rabbi Ori engaging with him so that we can all come to a conclusion, okay? I promise you, he was not kicked. It is the most suspicious thing to me under the sun that as soon as we got a rabbi, someone who was so well versed and so well learned, he exited stage left. That is the most suspicious thing to me. I can only say that I did not kick him, and at the time that he left, there were no other co-hosts. It was just me.
Iska, take me off co-host and invite him back.
That's a very good point. No, we can't just unblock him temporarily. And if he really wishes to engage with Rabbi Ori, all of us would be quiet and they can have that engagement. And we may reach a fruitful conclusion. But I do not go to unblock him. That is a lie.
I did tell him that you let us know that he wasn't kicked. Not this minute, but back a few minutes ago when he told me that, I said, it was announced that you left. So if you want me to DM him that he was please come back, I'll be happy to do it.
Absolutely. Mizal first has to unblock him because now she's co-host, which that would prevent him from rejoining, okay? But he was not kicked. Rabbi Ori started speaking and he exited stage left. That is clear to everyone here. Chaim, thank you. If that was you, Chaim, that said that, I'm not sure because it's not showing me who's speaking. It's bugged out completely. But thank you for whoever brought that up because I also wanted to speak on it.
Okay, he's unblocked. He's unblocked from.
Okay, I'm gonna DM. Okay.
So I grew up Christian, believe it or not, and became religious in college when I started doing my own research and figuring things out and realizing that, because I never really believed it and whatever, so that's my story. I then met a Chabad rabbi on campus and a non-Chabad rabbi on campus. And the Chabad rabbi on campus was an amazing guy, but he made it very difficult for the non-Chabad rabbi on campus. So earlier that was discussed, and Rabbi, I think his name was Litvin, was saying that stuff never happens. It absolutely does. I also grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and another non-Chabad rabbi came there, and the Chabad rabbis there made it very difficult for him. That doesn't mean that the Chabad rabbis weren't amazing to me as somebody becoming more religious. They were. They were welcoming. They had me in their homes. They answered all my questions. They helped me in every way. I have no qualms with them, but I do know that my relationship with the other rabbi, he would frequently be pained and frustrated at his exclusion from the rest of the community, or he would try to have a shiur and he would try very much not to show how pained he was by things that were going on that we could all see. So the friction was definitely there. I then went to the Chabad Yeshiva in Morristown, New Jersey from 2008 to 2009. So if any of you guys know people who were there then, I was there. They'll know me. The stuff Michael is saying is true. The place we would go to in Crown Heights when they would send us there for the weekend had a big Mashiach bias. I remember sitting in Crown Heights in 770 and getting pushed out of the way, practically onto the floor, because somebody told me after the fact, the Rebbe's coming through and you need to get out of the way. I remember seeing people running around with flags for hours at night being functionally Bittul Torah because they wanted to show that this was like their place, that the Mashiachistim ruled here. I've seen all of the things. I've heard all of the stuff. And I remember when I was first becoming religious, everything I was learning was so Christian that I was putting it into the Christian box because it aligned so neatly into the Christian ideology. And it wasn't until I left and I actually went to Or Sameach in Muncie that I realized how, and I left because of the Mashiachistim. The Rosh Yeshiva in Morristown was not Mashiachist, but some of the rabbis on staff were. And so, you'd be in it for bringing. They would be bringing up some of these very problematic theological points. And if you tried to challenge them on that, they would shut you down so hard, and they would kind of do what Rabbi Litvin was doing, but with a lot more ego. but they would still shut you down so hard that you didn't really have a forum to try to engage with those theological problems or relate it to Christianity. So it really turned me off, and that's why. But I'll have to say, so whenever that previous rabbi was calling people liars, it was very hard for me to hear, because I know because I know it's true. I know what I experienced. I know what I saw. I wasn't able to be a speaker at the time to try to challenge that. So I just wanted to bring that up now. I know it's a little late and he's not here anymore.
Can I ask you a question? How do you rationalize religious one-upmanship and then separate that from some type of like political, connection? Meaning that, do you see that there's like politics in religion, organizationally speaking?
Personally, I think that there's politics in everything, unfortunately, and it's not something that I'm personally great at navigating. It's something that, I'm oblivious to naturally, personally. It's not something I'm very good at. So when I would have a conversation with a rabbi, at Morristown, for example, I would get, they would have their own political agendas, and I didn't necessarily even see that that's what they were doing at the time, because I was naive to it. But I have that problem even in business. Like, I'm the kind of person who will naively help everybody around me and not realize that they're politicking against me and using me against myself, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I guess we're waiting. Disa, did you hear back from Rabbi Kim?
Let me
What's
check.
the point of this space? I don't understand why there's so much slander and
If it's not beneficial, if it's not beneficial to you, 1 second. If it's not beneficial to you, then absolutely feel free to leave. Nobody is being held here.
I think it's beneficial for Am Yisrael to do it in general.
We're allowed to have discussion.
Thank you
We're allowed to ask questions.
Don't discuss anything, Esther. I'm going to start interrupting you.
Rabbi Ori's had his hand up for a while, and while we're waiting on that other
And Jennifer also. And by the way, guys, I know there are people requesting a mic. We have no more spaces. I don't have another co-host. So if people are not
I need to speak. I go down in the audience and somebody can speak. Okay. I switch to that somebody can speak.
Thank you. And anybody else who's not planning to speak, please drop down. Don't just stay on the mic. If you have something to say later, of course, you're welcome to come back up. Shall we go to Jennifer or Rabbi Ori first?
A space like this does much more harm than it does good. Just keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you.
So you can exit stage left if that's your feeling. You can join the other rabbi. Okay, Jennifer, please go ahead.
If this space does harm, then say something intelligent and positive. I don't understand what you're complaining.
Okay, well, I just want to say I know Chabad has the Tanya classes, but I don't see the Tanya classes exclusively offered at just Chabad. I see other synagogues offering class Tanya. However, I personally don't study Tanya. I think we can get your spiritual experience by Pirkei Avot, but that's my whole take on it. I do like Chabad. Not that I'm a Chabadnik, but I like what they do, because they do take people that are very secular and they teach them about Torah. So I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, as far as Mashiach goes, I think there are some sects within Chabad that believe that he was a Mashiach. However, I find that a little bit on the side. So that's my whole take with Chabad. But I'm certainly not going to slander them. I think they do very good work, although I'm not a Chabadnik. I lean more to a Nation Torah type of person. Anyways, that's my take. Thank you for letting me speak.
Of course, thank you so much, Jennifer. I think we should go back to the rabbi, and then we'll go to Michmik, because she was trying to speak for a long time, and then Halsey. So please go ahead, Rabbi.
Now circle to Michmik and Halsey, and then I'll speak.
Okay, sure. Michmik, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Rabbi. This space, I don't know whether this space has been brilliant or it's been a car crash. sitting here. We're all Jews. We all love Israel. I just want to say something. Chabad has been very, very good to me and my children. Okay? My kids are at university. They're able to go there every Friday night. Chagim, they look after them. They provide kosher food. They order kosher food through them. It's the way it's run. It's a machine. Angels are running it. Angels. That's all I can say. And I used to study the Tanya with Michael, with the same rabbi. And I don't remember that rabbi ever alluding to the fact that the Chabad rabbi, the Rebbe, is alive, and he's Mashiach, and I've never heard those words come out of his mouth. I think the Tanya is a wonderful book to study. It brought me great comfort, especially times of adversity, and I only have good things to say about Chabad. When I see the boys in the fold standing there, asking people if they're Jewish, would you like to wrap tefillin? It's a joy. They're bringing joy. It's like they're throwing glitter all over me when I see it. That's how I feel. And I only have good things to say about Chabad. That's all I wanted to say. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, I think my friend may want to quickly answer that.
I study Tanya with different Chabad rabbis. I study Mamas at Nikotel Sichos.
We studied with the same rabbi.
Yeah, but I also studied with other rabbis.
Okay, so I was talking about